essential construction projects on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Spokesman Steve Shapiro says work on Route 35 is wrapping up soon.
In general, the project will be done by the end of June, but that middle section, there is some work that's going to continue.
He adds drivers can expect normal traffic conditions down the shore this summer, which usually means congestion. David Wildstein is named in a suit filed by fellow former Port Authority official Jerry Spezial. In the filing, Wildstein allegedly claimed Governor Christie pushed for Spezial's appointment so a Republican could take over as Passaic County Sheriff. On Wall Street, the Dow closed down 82. I'm Patrick Lavery. Get breaking news and weather alerts on your cell phone. Text news to 89,000. This is the Town Square News Network.
It's spring cleaning time at New Jersey American Water. Each year they give a good scrubbing to the pipes in the nearly 200 communities they serve. This includes surging the water through the pipes and running some of the fire hydrants. While spring cleaning won't interrupt your water service, some New Jersey American Water customers may experience brief periods of low water pressure or water discoloration. If you experience water discoloration when crews are in your area, simply run your water until it's clear. To find out when your community is scheduled, visit NewJerseyAMWater.com. The 2014 Water Quality Reports for New Jersey American Water are available online at NewJerseyAMWater.com and with a link on New Jersey American Water's Facebook page. Once again, thanks to the dedication of their water quality and plant operation professionals, New Jersey American Water provides water that meets or surpasses all federal and state regulations. Find your community's water quality report online or call customer service to request a copy. At New Jersey American Water, they care about water. It's what they do.
More scattered showers and thunderstorms likely as we move through the evening hours. Overnight lows in the 60s to near 70. Tomorrow, warm and humid with another round of showers and thunderstorms. Highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. Cooler at the coast. Things improve, though, in the middle of the work week. Sunshine returning Wednesday with highs in the upper 70s to 80s once again. Temperatures tick up on Thursday with more sunshine, but summer-like conditions. Highs approaching 90. Friday, sunny and hot. Highs from 85 to 90, but cooler at the beaches. I'm Matthew White.
Lately, I've been experiencing a lot of stress at work. I even put on quite a few pounds. So frankly, I just don't have the energy to keep my wife happy.
All my husband does anymore is go to work, eat, and sleep. I feel like we're drifting apart.
Can you identify with these comments? Men, if you're experiencing low energy, weight gain, muscle loss, loss of sex drive, and ED, find out the causes by attending a seminar on men's health Saturday, June 20th from 10 till noon at the Seaview Hotel and Resort in Galloway. The seminar will feature New Jersey's top doctor of 2014, Dr. Brian Steichner, director of the Institute of Men's Health and a board-certified urologist. Men and women are invited to attend this life-changing seminar. Cost is $10 per person or $18 per couple. Register early for discounted pricing. A delicious breakfast is included. That's Saturday, June 20th, 10 till noon at the Seaview Hotel and Resort, 401 South New Road, Galloway. Sign up today at jspharmacy.com. That's jspharmacy.com. Sponsored by Jersey Shore Compounding Pharmacy.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Congressman, brought to you by Jersey Shore Compounding Pharmacy. Compounding medication solutions from juniors to seniors to pets. It's your opportunity to talk directly to Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Call 407-1450. Now, with Congressman Frank LoBiondo, here's Harry Hurley.
Good evening and welcome to the program. It is great to be back. It's our monthly visit with your United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo, so you can listen right now on WPG Talk Radio 1450. You can view us on our YouTube channel at WPG1450.com. And good evening to our sister station and all the great folks in Ocean County on WOBM in Toms River and all the folks that are listening on our sister station. Welcome to Ask the Congressman. It's your direct access to United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Thanks to our market president, Michael Rubel, my program director, Chris Coleman, our executive producer, Kyle McCann, our chief engineer, Tom McNally, at Town Square, Atlantic City, where we love the opportunity to give you the chance to pose your questions to our congressman. Congressman LoBiondo, well,
great to be back with you.
Great to have you here, sir. We have a bunch of listener questions. So a little bit later in the hour, we'll have a gold rush of listener questions that have come in through both email, Facebook, right from the website, and so on and so forth. You well, and you're using the WPG has a lot of ways to contact the program right from the website, as many have done already in advance of Congressman LoBiondo's appearance tonight at WPG 1450.com. I'm going to bring a question right to the top because I think it's absolutely at least this on the record, and that the States Supreme Court has struck down the opportunity for citizens that had claimed that they were from Israel if they were from Jerusalem. The Supreme Court, it seems very convoluted, Congressman. I know this decision has only been out for really an hour or so. In a sixth, they're basically saying the Congress overstepped its bounds back in 2002, basically saying you can't tell the administration that it's like negotiating foreign policy with the administration's saying Jerusalem part of Israel. Prime Minister Israel acknowledges Jerusalem as the capital. That someone who's a dual citizen that wants to have states for Israel, that they are from why.
Just found out about it walking in the door. Obviously do not agree with it. Really don't understand where they're coming from on this, and I think it's a very, very bad decision.
I think it's terrible. So we'll talk about that later. It literally, there was no time to prep it and even learn about it, and I just found out about it from our executive producer, right before airtime as well. Six Army websites, which I think is still down even at this hour. This is showing that not only is there very dangerous work in terms of
cyber is enormous. We're really not as prepared to be. About the Syrian hack, what about the Chinese hacking, 4 million personnel records? Yes. And in light of this,
they now know who government employees are. This is unbelievable.
With security, background check information.
Yeah, we've been compromised.
That's enormous. So it's all a huge problem. And in speaking to this, another component of cybersecurity is in aviation. And in aviation, we have an individual who claims that while in flight, he was able, because he was online with the airline's internet system, that he hacked in and actually altered the flight path of a passenger airliner. Now, there is a dispute of whether this was or wasn't the case, but because this is really scary stuff, along with everything else you're talking about, I offered an amendment last week that we're in the middle of the transportation appropriations bill, which would put an additional $3 million into aviation security. And I don't believe there's any better place that work gets done than here at our tech center. But we're only on the House version of this. It has to go through the Senate, and it has to go through the conference report. But it was voice voted. It was total unanimous support from the Democrats as well as the Republicans. So it speaks to this breaking news with the Syrian army, with ISIS, with the Chinese, with the North Koreans, with the Iranians.
Russians.
This is going to go on and on and on and on. We better recognize it. We better deal with it in the right way.
You are listening to the United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. It is Ask the Congressman. In addition to all the digital platforms that we talked about and how you can reach the program and send your comment and your question into your congressman, our phone lines will open in just a little bit at 609-407-1450. So don't be shy there. You never are. 609-407-1450. Another one that has to come right to the top of your program tonight, Congressman LoBiondo, is this big vote, and you can tell us in terms of when you think this is going to take place, on the Trade Promotion Authority to be given to the president. Talk about sort of the same mold of Nancy Pelosi saying in regards to Obamacare that we have to vote on it so we can find out what's in it. Your colleagues and yourself, you're going to be casting a vote on something that you don't even know what's in it.
Correct. And that's really bad. And what even compounds this is it is very difficult to get information. So what this is relating to is something the Obama administration has been pushing for called the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. And normally the administration would negotiate a trade agreement that would then come to Congress, that would then be subject to debate in the full light of the day, with amendments being able to be offered. Now, what the president is asking for, and what I am very grieved and concerned that will happen this week, is that the president will be given fast track authority. And what that means is whatever the president has been negotiating with his team, which I wouldn't want to see any president have this authority with Congress relinquishing their authority, but he's going to be able to do the trade agreement, and it will only be subject to an up or down vote only after all the information has been given out. It's insanity.
Incredible. This is an extraordinary 7 years, and what I think is really detrimental is this thing with Iran. Once again, that's Congress's purview. Like, not the president's, to do a treaty. That's specifically stipulated as a power of Congress. This is something that would always take place with congressional authority, and future presidents, they're going to continue to take this level of authority. You don't go back after getting away with this kind of thing.
No, you take it, you run with it, and you don't know what's in it. I've talked to my colleagues, and I shake my head, and unfortunately, there'll be a large number of Republicans who will be supporting this.
So what don't we know that they think they know? Why would people blindly cast a vote? And incidentally, correct me if I'm wrong, the Senate has already passed this.
The Senate has passed this.
So this is the last stop.
This is the last stop.
What do they know that they would vote for something they don't know what's in it?
Well, it's what they think they know. It's not what they know, because you don't know what you don't know.
Why don't you guys make him give it to you so that then you can see it and maybe you'd vote for it?
Well, that's why I'm voting no. I want to see it. Now, I believe when I see it, I will even shake my head in a harder no than what it is right now. But the United States Chamber of Commerce believes that this is important for trading purposes. I think it will further erode jobs in the U.S. I think this will further encourage U.S. companies to go offshore, which all the prior trade agreements have done. Look at NAFTA, look what's happening with China, look what's happening all over the world where we have these in place. And the bottom line is it has cost us our manufacturing base. We don't produce steel anymore. We don't produce ships anymore. We don't produce all of those things that are good, hard, strong manufacturing jobs that you cannot flip a switch and tomorrow decide, oh, we made a mistake, let's go back to it. Because it's gone. And this will, I think, just make that problem even worse than it is now. And I shake my head. I've gotten into some pretty spirited discussions, some might call arguments, with Republican colleagues about how bad this is. And the president, I will tell you, is doing what presidents do. He's promising the sun, the moon, and the stars to the Democrats who might be on the fence. And Nancy Pelosi has her little gig going on, threatening people and doing what they're doing, stuff you'll never probably read or hear much about until way after the fact.
Exactly. I'm hoping we hear her say, I mean, it would just be an encore command performance. She needs to come out and say, we need to vote on this next week so we can find out what's in it. Not just, that would be like Christmas in July.
Yeah.
But this, in my just gut feeling, this has the votes to pass, doesn't it?
It hasn't until now. And they will not bring it up until they are sure. So
when it comes up for a vote, you'll know the votes are there.
You'll know the votes are there.
And you think it's going to be soon, don't you?
And the word is it could be as early as this week.
Oh.
Very bad news for America.
What gave it momentum? What's pushing it over the top? Why does it have enough support now, seemingly?
Well, there's been a big push by some of the nation's biggest businesses and the Chamber of Commerce. They have their perspective on how this is going to work. I vehemently disagree with it, but if you are a member of Congress who believes that argument holds water, you can be swayed by it. If you are a Democrat, you are influenced by how the president feels and how Nancy Pelosi feels. I, again, think this is a bad deal for the country. And when this all comes out, I believe that once again, as in the past, my positions sometimes were questioned early on, I believe will be vindicated and validated that I'm on the right side of this issue for the country's sake.
Could enough patriots step up, people like yourself, and create enough skepticism in colleagues where you could defeat this?
It has to come from individual districts. So me talking to a colleague from fill in the blank, Montana, South Dakota, California, wherever it may be, is not going to cut it. But those individual members of Congress hearing from their constituents who are saying, you know, we are totally opposed to this, and we're going to hold you accountable as one of the biggest votes to be hurting America jobs picture in the future. That's what will stop office, and I don't think we're unlike other offices. Now, my position has been pretty much cast solid for months now, but there are, I think, on single-digit numbers of the people supporting this who have called in, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phone calls of people who are paying attention and are calling in to oppose it. If that takes place in other districts, a member of Congress, unless they don't keep track of anything that goes on in their office, how do you ignore when it's 50 to 1, 20 to 1, 100 to 1 in a position that you're going to be against? How do you go back home and explain that? I don't get it.
And here's what I know without positively knowing it, because we don't know what's in it until, again, we find out. But if you look at the way that this administration operates, there will be things in there that are not good. And people, they're like, that vote, look what you voted for, without knowing what you voted for.
Yeah, and then they're going to be in total damage control, trying to explain how, gee, well, we were told something. I thought this was going to be creating jobs. I didn't know it was going to keep
your doctor if you wanted to keep your doctor.
Yeah, right. I thought it was going to cost less. Yeah, sure.
United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo at 16 minutes past the hour. Phone lines are open, 609-407-1450. We have about 4 minutes before our first break. Let's throw this out onto the floor because it is just so important. ISIS went from, in our president's estimation, the JB team, to present in almost every state in America. Becker has said present in every state, to training camps in the United States of America, to having an elaborate funding stream. I'm concerned about what they can do with the oil supply, what they're doing in terms of accumulating revenue and also accumulating tech. They continue on their war march. And so as recently as today, as a matter of fact, the president said, we have no strategy still. How can he say that?
This is almost incomprehensible, because if you go back to a year ago when the president was, I don't know if he reels from anything, but he was certainly getting hammered for saying a few months early, and then they're clearly not
the JV. Varsity now.
Yeah. So a year the announcement to the world, complicated. Now, think what has taken place in that last year. Think of the operational gains, the successes, the territorial gains, the total that has taken place with these people who have solidified their funding source. They're not a terrorist organization, a terrorist state. They're now ready to threaten the water supply of Baghdad by controlling the water supply upstream from them. They've totally compromised almost everything, and the president says
he said it today.
He said it today. So you wonder why we're in trouble. You wonder why our allies don't trust us. You wonder why our enemies don't fear us. How can you be a year later to have understood last year at this time, oh, you made a very bad mistake. You ignored all the intent that I got to see, along with my Democratic colleagues, so it wasn't a Republican thing saying, Mr. President, you've got to show whatever you want to call them, because they're really bad news. They're going to threaten the world. They're going to threaten the country. The president ignored all of his own advisors. He ignored a lot of the Senate and House Democrats on the Intelligence Committee. But that was a year ago. How do you totally ignore everything that's taken place since? With some of the national security minds in the country saying, Mr. President, this is what you need to do, and they're claiming they're doing these airstrikes. These airstrikes they don't even qualify as pinpricks. Do that the way they're doing it. Everybody will tell you that. So ISIS is laughing at them.
You've demonstrated this for more than 2 decades, so you really don't have to demonstrate it. But let me give you an opportunity to be equal opportunity. Thoughts about what Senator Rand Paul did?
Well, I'll be careful because we are on radio. It was a total disgrace.
Terrible.
This is a who clearly, I think, before this had proven that he was not fit to be president. And after last week about protecting Americans, it was a total misrepresentation for Senator Rand Paul to suggest that the NSA is listening to your phone calls or reading your emails. They are not. What he did was turn off to track terrorists from outside of this country who were contacting people inside of this country.
And we telegraphed it.
We knew it because of his political aspirations, which is probably the most egregious political crime you can ever commit, for personal self-aggrandizement, that you would put the country at risk. And he just fundraising off of this. These are brandishing his credentials. This guy is really...
That is true. When he funded off of that, that was as unseemly as it gets to begin with, and this really cemented it with me. And I understand, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that after the law sunsetted, and it was good that there was a lot of things, and you were there for it, happened very fast at September 11th, 2001, so that it's not unreasonable that a period down the road you'd want to take a look to make sure, did we go too far? Did we do the right thing? But when that all sunset, we voted on the reauthorization, it was different than what it used to be. So not only did we lose it for a period, it was a short period, but an enemy just needs a little crack, and we gave it to him. But I understand that what we have now is not as strong as what we had.
It is not as strong. It puts us at greater risk. We have to be much luckier. The enemy does not have to work as hard. Same result that they did before. And we're playing a bad area to do that in. You have any doubts about their ability to sort of ignite lone wolves, to ignite sleeper cells, what they're pulling off? And they, we have to be time, 100%, 1,000% of the time, they have to be right only once.
And shockingly, and we're going to get into this right after the break, we'll give the congressman an opportunity, because I was blown away when I learned the TSA had a failure rate in a very serious area that the consequence rate was 95%. In other words, they had a 5% success rate. Ask the congressman. Town Square Media's monthly program, Town Square Media, Atlantic City's monthly program, will prove that. After one more question from me, we'll go to a gold rush of your questions, and we have a lot of them for Congressman Frank LoBiondo, and you can join us on the phone lines as well at 609-407-1450. My brother, who's just a great guy, and Jersey Shore Farmship.
Visit the WPG Talk Radio 1450 YouTube channel through WPG1450.com to access exclusive video content from South Jersey's talk station. Watch every episode of Ask the Mayor with Don Garden and Ask the Congressman with Frank LoBiondo on demand. Plus, see videos from Harry Hurley.
And just click on our YouTube channel and you'll be able to view video
and more. Subscribe to the WPG Talk Radio 1450 YouTube channel today.
Lately, I've been experiencing a lot of stress at work. I even put on quite a few pounds. So frankly, I just don't have the energy to keep my wife happy.
All my husband does anymore is go to work, eat, and sleep. I feel like we're drifting apart.
Can you identify with these comments? Men, if you're experiencing low energy, weight gain, muscle loss, loss of sex drive, and ED, find out the causes by attending a seminar on men's health Saturday, June 20th from 10 till noon at the Seaview Hotel and Resort in Galloway. The seminar will feature New Jersey's top doctor of 2014, Dr. Brian Steichsner, director of the Institute of Men's Health and a board-certified urologist. Men and women are invited to attend this life-changing seminar. Cost is $10 per person or $18 per couple. Register early for discounted pricing. A delicious breakfast is included. That's Saturday, June 20th, 10 till noon at the Seaview Hotel and Resort, 401 South New Road, Galloway. Sign up today at jspharmacy.com. That's jspharmacy.com. Sponsored by Jersey Shore Compounding Pharmacy. Earnings vary based on your effort.
Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses right here in Atlantic City? If so, we have an amazing opportunity for you. We're looking for a small group of motivated individuals to join our real estate investing team. You'll learn our simple 3-step system for flipping homes right here in the local area. This is Than Merrill, star of A&E's hit TV show Flip This House. My team and I are looking for a handful of people in the Atlantic City area who want to learn how to make money flipping houses in your spare time using other people's money. Atlantic City is a perfect market for my system, and next week I'm holding a free 2-hour educational workshop where you will learn how to make money flipping homes and how to build long-term wealth with income properties.
To get 2 free tickets to Than's workshop, call 1-800-586-1392. Seating is extremely limited. Call in the next 10 minutes and you'll also reserve a free copy of Than's Money for Deals Guide. That's 1-800-586-1392. That's 1-800-586-1392.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Congressman, brought to you by Jersey Shore Compounding Pharmacy. Compounding medication solutions from juniors to seniors to pets. It's your opportunity to talk directly to Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Call 407-1450. Now, with Congressman Frank LoBiondo, here's Harry Hurley.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Ask the Congressman. That is your Congressman, United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Dave in Galloway is going to get our first question in after we finish where we were right before we left for that brief timeout. And that is this incredible Congressman. It takes a lot to take my breath away because I expect now, but to 5% of the time on undercover tests is incredible to even process. And I think about the fact you fly, I fly, our families fly. We know what we go through. We take our shoes off. We take our belts off, we put our hands up, and they're looking at our naked bodies and all this stuff that we're doing. 95% of the time, it is a disgrace.
Just covering it. And it was that uncovered this. Thankfully, this independent branch of government that Congress has available, Inspector General, to be able to do these type of investigations. Otherwise, how long would we go before we know it? But that having been said,
they never would have told us.
They never would have told us because they probably don't even know themselves.
Exactly.
That's how complacent they are when they get in this rut of how they do things. So it is okay to have a 3-year-old pull from its mother's arms screaming. We've all seen that video about a year ago. It's okay to take a 90-year-old grandmother in a wheelchair and subject that grandmom to all kinds. And yet you've got somebody who's going through has the equivalent of a bomb strapped to their back. It's not picked up in the equipment check, and in the pat down, it's missed. That, I mean, there ought to be just immediate mass firings.
I mean, I hate to put it this way, but we have to be intellectually honest. This means successful terrorist attacks could have happened.
Could have happened, and you don't think the terrorists are looking at this?
They're saying
for a weakness.
I mean, we only got a 5% chance of getting caught. They're going to go for it.
Yeah, this
was bad.
So Secretary of Homeland Security Johnson, of course, he's all ramped up on this, and he immediately removed. Now I'm going to be check on this. The guy who was in charge, I bet he doesn't get fired.
He was acting.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Right. He'll just get reassigned.
He'll get reassigned.
Like
He'll keep his salary.
Yes.
Keep his salary. Now, what are they going to do? Now, I have a very good friend that I sit next to on House, who's the immediate past chair of the Homeland Security Committee, Peter King. And Peter and I, Peter was getting a briefing last week when we told me he would share it with me on where we go from here. It is this.
You are listening to Congressman Frank LoBiondo. It is your program, Ask the Congressman, with United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Dave and Galloway, welcome to the program. It's time to ask the Congressman. Go.
Sir, I have got a basic question on Hillary Clinton. How can she receive money when she was an officer of the United States government in defiance of Article 1, Section 9, which says she can't be given money by anybody, without Congress's permission?
Dave, thanks for your question. You can stay for a moment if maybe you'll have a quick follow-up. I agree with him.
Well, I agree as well as these laws. General.
Bingo.
Who appoints the Attorney General? I mean, I called for Eric Holder's removal more than once, but the presidents are very powerful, and in this particular case, Eric Holder wasn't about to, therefore Hillary Clinton gets to skate.
But he's bringing it to the floor that she swore to abide by the Constitution as well as all of the country. That was the standard.
Dave, let me follow up a little bit on that. You're saying it in so many words. Let me just feather in with this. Do you think that there's enough to connect the dots? Bill and Hillary Clinton were in the same country at the same time, and she is meeting with certain heads of state and people with a lot of authority if they were not the absolute head of the state, and deals were being made, and the United States put at least question. You may not be able to prove it just yet, but you could at least question that these large multi-million-dollar donations to the Clinton Foundation seem to be directly involved with what Hillary was doing at the time. I think there's some amount of dots that can be connected.
There are a lot of dots that can be connected. And Harry, I'm going to get for you the number of oversight hearings that have been held and conducted. The number is staggering. Dave, I don't have the number off the top, but many of these issues are raised repeatedly by the Government Oversight Committee. And again, if the Attorney General doesn't take it, the IRS situation, we've got the Benghazi situation, all kinds of situations that are being ignored by the Attorney General, who is tasked with enforcing the law of the land and the Constitution. It really is very frustrating. It's hard to understand. It's hard to swallow. And for a concerned citizen like yourself, it's impossible to comprehend. A person gets to get away with it, but I think it all rests with the Attorney General.
Dave, there is a full campaign that is going to take place in the United States. She will have to answer these questions.
Well, let's hope she has to.
Let's hope so. But as it presently stands, it may not. But there is another piece to this question. I believe New York State is a community property state. If her husband got the money, she got it.
But do keep in mind, and Mo talk about the money, the speaking fees, which sometimes were in the buco 6 figures, and many of these transactions involved big checks, even 8-figure checks to the Clinton Foundation.
But that is the same thing as the Clintons.
I know, except one you can insulate though and say, look, we're doing charity work. What are you talking about? But these speaking fees, when she's there doing the business of this country, and countries are getting, if you will, favors, and Bill Clinton is racking up a huge 6-figure speaking fee, that's where I think dirty is very unseemly. And the foundation account that they had established, and they didn't even report, and they actually got caught. So they're now going to recast 5 years worth of the foundation's complete tax returns. Believe me, I think it'll be people, even not, though it probably will not be the Attorney General. There'll be a lot of reasons to get answers to these questions, and I think we will. Thank you for the question. There's more open phone lines at 609-407-1450. At Town Square Media, and that would mean all of our radio stations around the country, and certainly Atlantic City. Your digital question is important as an on-air question through the phone line, and we'll demonstrate that right now. Steve in Egg Harbor City, I want to thank you on behalf of Congressman LoBiondo for listening and for writing in with your question. And Congressman, the country is 17 in debt. Are we at the point of no return? And if not, how much longer can we keep spending ourselves into oblivion? Good question.
That's an excellent question. And we have made some progress, painfully slow. Now, I don't say this in terms of in any way justifying of a Republican-controlled Congress. We are spending less today than we spent when the president took office. Just to be absolutely clear, it is not good enough. We are still spending much more than we are taking in, and that's where this president has an appetite to continue to spend, continue. When I first was running for office, we were running a huge deficit, and a couple of things happened. The economy turned around, and we were able to institute some laws which resulted in a balanced budget and a surplus. Now, that wasn't 100 years ago. So it can be repeated, but it can only be repeated if there is an across-the-board effort, a bipartisan effort, an effort that includes the president to understand these things. We have a president that doesn't understand it. So Congress continues to push for a balanced budget. I voted for a balanced budget amendment. It took a two-thirds majority to do that. We did not reach the two-thirds. Of course, a lot of Democrats did not like that. I still think the balanced budget amendment to the Constitution would be one of the most serious moves we can make, one of the signals, and really one of the things that we would do that would absolutely put us on the track that we have to go on.
Thank you so much for your question, and we're going to go to our next caller at 609-407-1450. It is 36 minutes past the hour. We welcome Bob to the program. Bob, ask the Congressman. Go.
Yeah, I guess my question is this. Being that Mrs. Clinton or the Clinton Foundation is going to have to go back and redo their taxes, you know, I guess we get a do-over on there. They filed these taxes or what, overlooked and make sure it was correct. But we're not going to. We don't get the chance to do that with their emails. You know, can somebody kind of bring that question to her? Like, you made a mistake with that. How do we get our do-over back with the emails?
Isn't that Bob, thank you. Isn't that a great question? Because in terms of the Clinton email server, they've trashed the server, so they say, and the only emails we have can balance that's in place. Herself decided which one was government related and which one she determined was personal in nature. Because after all, we don't want to know about Chelsea's nail appointment. But Hillary took that away from the whole normal process of how a Secretary of State should, not for top security reasons, because we already know that her emails have been compromised, and I think Russia has them all. So we want to get. What do you say to Bob about that whole spectacle?
Well, it's in total violation of the law, and it goes along with this question from Galloway. General should be all over this. This was in violation to not President Bush's policy. Well, it happened to be President Bush's policy as well, responding to a private email from Hillary Clinton and on his smartphone, knowing that it was not a government email address. So why is not the Attorney General calling for investigation of this? Now, Hillary Clinton is so disingenuous and dishonest when she says, well, I want to get everything out there, you know, as much as anybody else. She controls all. She gave the order to have them erased.
She only turned it over being shown.
And she's the judge and jury of what was it. I mean, the Attorney General should be all over this. She will be called again before the trade legality that's been put together to investigate this, to negotiate how much time she'll spend before the committee and what she will answer. Trey Gowdy is a pretty tough prosecutor. He wants her to come in for 2 visits. He wants 1 visit, emails alone. National hearing on this alone. And I don't know how to predict whether he will or he won't, but he is being stonewalling them. The State Department, they've got, what, a dozen people that are sifting through what? And how long are they going to take to do this? They probably get them done by the next presidential.
Exactly. And what about the fact, well, at least the federal judge has said each month they have to turn over so many, but how about decided what the American people have the right to know? She decided by herself.
And that's, Harry, what is very hard for me to understand. I don't know how the media is hitting her with this. I don't know how people who, okay, if you're a hard Hillary Clinton supporter, you're going to bypass this and say it's just a right-wing conspiracy attack, as Hillary is saying. Yeah. But if you're an independent or a thoughtful Democrat, how do you say that this doesn't have consequences? How can you say that it is okay for her not to answer any questions when she does these public appearances? I mean, just can't comprehend how she is getting away with this.
We're going to take our final break, and we'll have a nice uninterrupted chunk of two-way talk time for you to jump in. Lines studio. We're going to go to John in Wildwood next, who has a very important question for Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Ask the Congressman on WPG Talk Radio 1450. South Jersey's talk station continues. We're brought to you by Jersey Shore Pharmacy and by Fortune Builders.
Good news. Good news. I've got good news for all 3 of you. The WPG Talk Radio 1450 newsletter is yet another way South Jersey's talk station keeps you informed. Get the latest South Jersey news, community events, information on fun contests, links to exclusive YouTube videos, and more delivered right to your inbox. It's free. To sign up for the WPG Talk Radio 1450 newsletter, simply go to WPG1450.com.
Lately, I've been experiencing a lot of stress at work. I even put on quite a few pounds. So frankly, I just don't have the energy to keep my wife happy.
All my husband does anymore is go to work, eat, and sleep. I feel like we're drifting apart.
Can you identify with these comments? Men, if you're experiencing low energy, weight gain, muscle loss, loss of sex drive, and ED, find out the causes by attending a seminar on men's health Saturday, June 20th from 10 till noon at the Seaview Hotel and Resort in Galloway. The seminar will feature New Jersey's top doctor of 2014, Dr. Brian Steitzner, director of the Institute of Men's Health and a board-certified urologist. Men and women are invited to attend this life-changing seminar. Cost is $10 per person or $18 per couple. Register early for discounted pricing. A delicious breakfast is included. That's Saturday, June 20th, 10 till noon at the Seaview Hotel and Resort, 401 South New Road, Galloway. Sign up today at jspharmacy.com. That's jspharmacy.com. Sponsored by Jersey Shore Compounding Pharmacy.
Earnings vary based on your effort. Do you want to learn how to make money flipping houses right here in Atlantic City? If so, we have an amazing opportunity for you. We're looking for a small group of motivated individuals to join our real estate investing team. You'll learn our simple 3-step system for flipping homes right here in the local area. This is Than Merrill, star of A&E's hit TV show Flip This House. My team and I are looking for a handful of people in the Atlantic City area who want to learn how to make money flipping houses in your spare time using other people's money. Atlantic City is a perfect market for my system, and next week I'm holding a free 2-hour educational workshop where you will learn how to make money flipping homes and how to build long-term wealth with income properties.
To get 2 free tickets to Than's workshop, call 1-800-586-1392. Seating is extremely limited. Call in the next 10 minutes and you'll also reserve a free copy of Than's Money for Deals Guide. That's 1-800-586-1392. That's 1-800-586-1392.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Congressman, brought to you by Jersey Shore Compounding Pharmacy. Compounding medication solutions from juniors to seniors to pets. It's your opportunity to talk directly to Congressman Frank LoBiondo. Call 407-1450. Now, with Congressman Frank LoBiondo. here's Harry Hurley.
Thank you and welcome back. 43 minutes past the hour. Don't be shy. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. John in Wildwood, thank you for writing into your congressman. Congressman LoBiondo from John. The Republicans own Congress. Why isn't something being done about the border? Americans are losing jobs, places to live, lower school standards. Please put a stop to it. And I would only add to that since just the weekend, someone in Mexico, right at the border of Mexico and Texas, fired, and it's not the first time, fired 5 shots at a Border Patrol helicopter. It is remarkable to me in a bad way how poor this administration is doing with border security.
It is a huge problem.
Is it on purpose? Are they literally lax on the border on purpose?
I think so. I think so.
How reckless is that?
I don't think he can prove it. So, it's one of those statements that I believe that there are plenty of options that we can do. And specifically to John, yes, we have the majority in the House of Representatives and in the United States Senate. So the House of Representatives passed in January, a full 6 weeks before the expiration of the Homeland Security Department appropriations, a very strong border security measure. It got sent over to the Senate, and because of Senate rules that required 60 votes to even consider passing something, the Senate did not take it up. They were willing to shut down the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I'm not willing to do that. With ISIS and Al-Qaeda and everybody else who is on that terrorist list, shutting down the Department of Homeland Security is not an option. But if you have a United States Senate and a president who is not even willing to discuss what additionally we should do, and to take up and say the House measure, well, okay, we're going to give you an alternative proposal, and we'll sit down and we'll work out the differences. It is that the president believes he is right. The power of the presidency is enormous. The president would love to see the government shut down over this. The president believes he has an advantage. Now that's, John, that's our option. Do we shut the government down? And you might be shaking your head, yes, shut it down. Well, do you know what the president can do if the government shuts down? The president can stop military pay. The president can stop Social Security disability checks. This is exactly what the president would want.
Close the parks again.
So with this president, it's almost a no-win situation, and it's very frustrating, and it's a difficult situation, and there's not a good answer to your question, but it's not because the Republicans haven't tried.
Hey, John, thanks for your question. Back to your calls at 609-407-1450. Rich is in Northfield. It's time to ask the congressman. Rich, go.
Congressman Rich Fairley, how you doing? The question is that if the president is deliberately leaving the borders open and knowingly and willingly with the ISIS and other enemy possible combatants coming through, would that be an act of treason?
I know where you're going with this, Rich. You're not going to impeach the president. This is another thing he wants us to do. He wants us to start impeachment proceedings. It is impossible to impeach him. The Senate will never go along with it. The president will be made a martyr. All the other things that are going wrong with the presidency will be sucked up in this Republicans' hatred of the president and impeaching him. It's not the path to go down.
I just think from a practical standpoint, it almost seems like that's what he's doing.
And you almost don't even have enough time to get it done. I mean, it's really, end game here. Year and a half or so left in this presidency. And even if the House impeached him, which they might have the votes to be able to do it, his poll numbers go up 20 points. We've already seen this bad movie. We know how this plays out. And the Senate does not convict him. So he's impeached without conviction. He becomes the third president in American history to be impeached. And the Republicans lose really all the advantage of being the minority party. Don't you agree, Congressman?
Absolutely.
It's terrible to say. So does that mean that you reward the horrific conduct? You don't, but that's not the answer.
And listen, in addition to this, when this issue was raised by some people, let's say 6 months ago, over this border issue and the executive order that this really in some people's mind was grounds to do something additional. The Democrats raised a huge sum of money off of this issue. And I just think it is absolutely what they would want. I think it's absolutely the wrong way to go because you could not succeed, and this is what the president wants. So it's frustrating. It makes people very angry, but I'm going to tell you like I see it.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Have a great night. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. If you want to jump in, this program flies by. We'll be here a few minutes past the top of the hour, but basically look at it that we're under 15 minutes left in the program tonight. Ask the Congressman with the United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. I sort of love what these two listeners did, because when you pose your question in a social media platform that's available, because we're taking questions as tweets, so then they're public, and you tweet, and you're out on Facebook all the time with your great message, Congressman. So Archie has a question. Then another listener is sort of not trumping Archie, but saying, hey, Archie's asking a state question, so here's my question on top of it. So let me just ask Archie's question in Brick, New Jersey. Congressman, when one or more of the 3 proposed casinos in North Jersey experience the same competition down the road from nearby gaming jurisdictions that Atlantic City has experienced, will the proposed subsidies to Atlantic City be revoked? Now, just as host, it's Congressman LoBiondo's show, but just as the program host, in fairness, this is a state question and not a federal question. But I'm posing it to you if you want to make a comment on it.
Well,
then Thomas has a federal buy-in.
This is very, very troubling. So this proposal for 1, 2, 3 additional casinos, which is not recognizing that there is an overcapacity of casinos. That's where the problem is coming from. It doesn't recognize that if New Jersey puts a casino in the Meadowlands and or Jersey City, that New York will reciprocate with a casino in Manhattan. It doesn't account for the promises that were made to ship, you pick the number, $100 million a year, $200 million a year, that is guaranteed how? And it doesn't at all answer the question for that money that's shipped to Atlantic City. Let's say they do. Let's say they send $100 million. What's that going to do for the laid-off worker in Egg Harbor Township, in Hamilton Township, in Galloway Township, in Ocean County, in Cumberland? You see where I'm going with this? I mean, it doesn't do any of those things. All it does is feather somebody's nest that believes that there's an opportunity here. It further drops a nail in the coffin of Atlantic City. The independent studies that have been done will say that will take 45% of the business of the current business away from Atlantic City. It is a terrible move. It would have to go to referendum. So the question is, there are some in Trenton that are pushing to have the referendum on this year's ballot. There are some who believe they have a better chance if they wait for a presidential election, and will put it on next year. And all we can do is continue to substantively point out how terrible this idea is and continue to rail against it.
Archie, I want to thank you for your question, because I had not heard that answer before, because Congressman LoBiondo is very respectful about federal lane, state lane, and I didn't know if the answer was going to be that's a state issue. It is, but you have a better handle on that than many of the state representatives who couldn't speak the way that you just did on that. I talked to them. I know.
It's a passionate issue for all of us, because, I live here like all of you do. And I see that while we have a partnership, that we're attempting to find a direction and an economic path forward to ease the pain. Nothing's going to be fast, or nothing's going to be easy. But in addition to what I already said, what else is happening is, because of this specter of a casino in North Jersey, or multiple casinos in North Jersey, I can guarantee you that we have investors sitting on the sidelines, because why would they put anything additional into Atlantic City if, in fact, there's going to be a casino in the Meadowlands, Jersey City, wherever else it goes? So we are further dumping ice water on any potential investments, and I know for a fact there are some who are holding back because of this.
And we would lose 2 casinos at least if they open up a casino in the Meadowlands.
At a minimum. At a minimum.
Maybe more. Just to show you how great our listeners are, Congressman LoBiondo, Thomas follows up on Archie with a question that I don't have to go through the first half because you already answered it, and I can tell you've already exceeded what Thomas thought you might go into, being that you're at the federal level, and this was a state question. But he has a great ending question following up on Archie's question. Please ask Congressman LoBiondo, how does the state's woes affect your ability to lobby on our behalf for federal aid for any purpose? It's a good question.
Well, it is an excellent question, and there are overlaps, and then there are areas of separation. But at the federal level, if it's perceived that there are obvious solutions that the state of New Jersey is not embracing and doing on their own, it makes it very difficult to be able to advocate for additional federal help. So some people think that because we're down and out, it makes it automatic that you are able to attract additional federal help. And you got to understand that while, again, the other day, the unemployment numbers were higher than anyone expected, and, there's a lot of people that are touting how good the economy's doing. There are a lot of places that are hurting pretty badly, but the expectation is that the federal government will not just give a hand out. The federal government, if anything, will be a partner in moving forward with a plan that the locals, i.e. the communities and or the states involved, are showing they are serious about solving the problem themselves.
Congressman, bringing it very, very much back to home, and I really have appreciated all of our listeners' great questions and your great content. While we're talking about some of the local issues, let's talk about the aviation issues. You're the chairman of the House Aviation Subcommittee. Talk about the importance to Atlantic County and to South Jersey at large with respect to aviation research and technology park and everything that hopefully is getting off the ground.
Well, we have the premier facility in the world with the Federal Aviation Administration Technical Center at the Atlantic City International Airport, the premier center in the world for safety and security research and development. No place else in the world has the competence of the engineers, the uniqueness of the laboratories, the dedication of the almost 5,000 people who work there. And they are responsible, again, for the safety and security of the national airspace. In addition to that, they are working on some major overhauls to the national airspace system. And we had some very, very, very good news about a week ago when this torturous road that we've been on with the transfer of the lease from the South Jersey Economic Development District that I know, Harry, you've covered how badly that was handled. We don't have to go into that. But I was with Harvey Kesselman when the and the ceremonial signing with Harvey and Ann Harlan, the former director of the Tech Center, where Stockton is now taking over the lease. This is very, very good news. I have to point out that if it had not been for Dennis Levinson and Howard Kyle and the Atlantic County Board of Freeholders, Frank Formica, and the whole team, that this would have never taken place. But what this does is it now gives us the opportunity to really get going with the research park. Now, I don't want to overpromise. I want to make sure that the optimism isn't making people think that next week we're going to break ground and, within 2 weeks we're going to have X number of people working. But until this lease was transferred, until Stockton agreed to take it over, we really had no opportunity. So this gives us a tremendous opportunity, and there are a lot of people that are working very hard in a strong partnership to make the most of it.
This is going to follow up on Thomas's question, and let me just do a little quick preamble, and then I'll get to my question. One of the areas that I think separates you, Congressman LoBiondo, from many of your colleagues, and I don't put any of them down, but I watch how a lot of them operate. They sort of become married to Washington, and they forget about home base. I always think that's, especially in the People's House, I always believe that is at the individual member's peril, because I think people pay attention to those who remember home base and those who sort of get too big and forget about home base. So it is a real strength of yours that you stay very local, and yet you have achieved some of the highest committees in the history. I don't know that there's ever been a District 2 representative that has had the committee chairmanship and senior committee assignments that you have. And that's not just longevity, that's talent, and that's your record of accomplishments. So staying local, you recently joined Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian for a press conference on jobs and assisting displaced casino workers. Tell your listeners and your viewers on our YouTube channel what was discussed and what can you say about any type of federal aid assistance that can be done.
Well, this was in the heels of, on the heels of all of us reeling with the casino closures, the thousands of employees have been put out of work, the tremendous pain and suffering that's been inflicted by this economic situation, and the partnership that has developed and come together in a very positive way. I joined with Senator Booker very early on, and I want to add we're different political parties, and maybe philosophically we don't agree on that much, but Senator Booker has been a strong, solid partner. We've worked extremely well together on issues affecting the 2nd Congressional District, and we put our shoulder to the wheel for the National Emergency Grant, which had to come through Labor Secretary Perez, but it had to come through Governor Christie and Commissioner Worth from the state of New Jersey. That allowed almost $30 million to be put into a pot of money to allow access for training. Now, Mayor Guardian picked up on that. The Atlantic County Chamber of Commerce picked up on that, and they are approaching businesses to be able to encourage them to look if they can create additional jobs. We're able to put together, along with Atlantic County, a package where companies that may not be interested in moving into South Jersey know that there is an opportunity for their employees to be trained to their needs. So this initiative with Mayor Guardian is a reflection of what we all know is a painful process, but a positive angle of moving forward. The Workforce Investment Board of Atlantic and Cape May County, who are reaching out to people. Now, we've helped some. We have many more that we have to help, but it's part of the positive aspect of what's going on.
Let me ask you about immigration. Obviously, a federal judge initially, and then the 3-judge Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals told the president that you must stop your immigration program. I don't really think he's stopping it, to be honest, but let me just say that he is, and that this is temporarily on hold or whatever the case is. Are we anywhere? We're almost halfway through 2015. Are we anywhere on immigration?
No, we're not. And by the way, the president's executive order is what the court has stopped.
Yes. And
this now goes to the Supreme Court. So this will be very interesting on what takes place with this. But what we have that has happened is the president announced before the last midterm election, probably in almost a year ago, I guess, that he was going to implement this executive order. He got a lot of backlash from Democrats who were on the ballot, saying, Mr. President, you can't do this. So the president put off his announcement, you will recall, till after the election. Yep. And then when he was signaling that he was going to make this announcement, the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, contacted the president, had a conversation, said, Mr. President, I'm asking you to give us 6 months. If we don't have a bill on your desk in 6 months, then you do whatever you want to do. The president, I'll be kind about how I put this, ignored him, said, no, I'm going to move forward, because the president wasn't interested in the solution. The president was interested in the problem.
Yeah. And he went warp speed.
He went warp speed. Now, you've heard the collage of clips, how I don't, of sound bites where I don't have the authority. Constitutionally, I can't do this, 20 or 25 times. And then all of a sudden, magically, he wakes up one day and he's got the constitutional authority to do it. Well, thankfully, the courts don't believe so. But the president had an opportunity. Now, when the president initiated the executive order, and he basically said to Congress, I am not interested in you putting a bill together, he essentially totally poisoned the well.
Yeah.
He didn't burn the bridge, he blew it up. He didn't just poison the well, I mean, he destroyed the well. There is no possibility with this president to get anything, because nobody believes that this president is interested in the solution. This president is interested in having it his way completely or no way at all.
And on this issue, now this is in limbo. There will be no productive legislation. This now will work its way through, ultimately to be decided by the highest court in the land. Earliest that would be probably
a year from now,
next year, at the very end of the presidency.
Yeah.
So one way or the other. And then I would think he would be struck down, because, as you say, even he admitted, and he's a constitutional attorney, allegedly, he admitted he does not have the legal constitutional authority to do this. And as you say, one day he had an immaculate conversion. So if this gets all knocked out, we have years that have expired with no action.
We have, and on the border security issue, we touched on this before. There's so much that could have been done. There could have been efforts with the National Guard to relieve border security so they could do their job and not do the paperwork. The president's chosen not to do that. There's all kinds of technology that can be used additionally that the president is not using. I don't really think he is serious about solving the problem. There were opportunities, bipartisan opportunities that can be taken advantage of. So what to look for? What to look for is in the presidential election coming up, the Republican candidates who are expanding daily as we speak will each have positions on immigration. We'll see which Republican candidate works through the primary process and what his or her position is on immigration and how does that hold in the general election. And then you'll have an idea of where we might go.
Less than 2 minutes, music will start to play, then you'll know we'll have a minute. And we want to thank all of our listeners. Great questions, for your participation, your viewership. And we'll be back next month for Ask the Congressman as well, of course, with United States Congressman Frank LoBiondo. I get worried about we get into a presidential election cycle, which we're already in. They're longer than ever. And then a lot of things don't get done because of that, right?
We're already hitting it.
Yeah.
You've got a situation where when it's not a presidential cycle going on, in the Senate, you've got 100 co-presidents. They all believe that they should be president. Now you've got how many of them running for president?